Hey, everybody. Pardon me for my delay, but once again, we are on the MCU's Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast through Anchor. And I am, of course, True Knowledge, Jeff S., um, with Logan, a semi regular sort of on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Not real. I don't know. An occasional guest. How you doing, Logan? Logan. Okay, well, maybe he's playing a game with me right now, a peekaboo or something. That's okay. You know, or I don't know. Maybe he's busy. But either way, it was good to talk to you, Logan. Cyber, what's up, man? That's how you doing,
What's
brother?
up? I'm
This is
good. I'm good. How
this
are you,
is
sir?
this is Cyberneticshark, the co-host of the MCU's Bleeding Edge, and the handsomest co-host on the MCU's Bleeding Edge, and the veteran YouTuber of the Cyberneticshark YouTube channel, that does specifically film reviews, everything involving film and television, and also a longtime Rizzler and a podcaster. So basically just a longtime content creator. And Logan, of course, is the host of the Crisis Variety Hour YouTube channel. And now he not only is not even talking to me, he's not talking to me. Now he's gone. He just fucking
Now we
disappeared.
disappeared.
Yep. He's pissed at me, man. But see, this is what happens, folks. I mean, we try to bring guests on, and freaking they meet me, and I scare them. What do you want me to say? I mean,
No.
I put on my profile on Tinder the other day that I'm more attractive in the dark. You know what I'm saying? So, but there we go, baby. A little bit MCU's bleeding edge humor right there. But so yeah, we're on here. We're on here doing a regular old YouTube video for once. We're not actually live streaming. We're actually putting ourselves in a maybe a more safe position where potentially if anything irregular goes on or whatever, you know what I mean, we're prepared. You never know on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. The title means something to us, and that means that what we bring to the table to y'all is authentic, edgy, fun, interesting, informative content that has to do with focusing on the MCU specifically and Marvel Studios. And we're good at it, and we enjoy it. And we don't know what's going on with Logan. Maybe he'll pop back up in a minute. But me and Cyber, we're vets, so we don't miss a beat. You know what I'm saying? When stuff happens, so
Beat.
we're cool and collected. But so
Cool.
Cyber, are you
Collected.
ready to rock? Are you ready to rock and roll, baby?
You know I am, sir. Let's
All
rock and
right,
roll
all
this.
right. So basically, everybody, what we got going on tonight. Well, you're not going to see this for a couple days, but what we're going to be doing tonight um, is we're going to be doing a topical discussion based off of all of the recent and current big MCU stories and whatnot that have been come out in like the last week, essentially. We're going to start off with from the comingsoon.net. Marvel Studios is currently developing 31 MCU projects. And essentially, Cyber and everybody out there in YouTube land, in an interview with an Argentinian radio station, 22.1 Radio, Marvel Studios' longtime producer Victoria Alonso, who has recently been promoted as the studio's president of physical post-production, VFX, and animation, has opened up about the future of the MCU and expanding the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Alonso confirmed that the Blockbuster studio currently has 31 MCU projects in development. It's unclear if the said number pertains to projects that haven't been announced yet, or if the total also includes previously confirmed projects such as the Blade and Fantastic Four films. Despite a full-year delay caused by the ongoing pandemic, Marvel Studios has still successfully managed to kick off their Phase 4 to a great start. So far, the company has already released 4 Disney Plus series and 2 films, which have been well received by critics and fans who are excited with the direction the franchise is going. So before we delve into the meat of this article, Cyber, and unwind the full spectrum of this, story and whatnot, and what they have laid out as far as what this could all be about, and who these projects could be. Um, for you, what are three characters or concepts from the comics or stories or something or whatever that you really can't wait to see potentially in phase 5 and phase 6 and everything and whatnot, that we haven't seen yet?
I mean, honestly, I really would like them to, to really finally bring to life Mephisto. He's one character that I would love to see on the big screen, big glory, kind of like Surtur in Thor Ragnarok. That's the type of character he is. Um, and I just think it would be great to finally, all the rumors and stuff like that of him and stuff like that finally come into fruition, and them just finally putting him into the MCU so that we can get him. And I saw an article actually earlier today saying that he is the next big baddie. Actually, they were saying that that character Mephisto is basically a much badder villain than Thanos ever was, and that he is a way better villain that they should have put into the MCU a lot earlier. And I thought that was kind of interesting that this article brought that up, and I was just like, yeah, well, with all the Mephisto rumors and stuff with WandaVision and so forth, I can see why that probably
I don't know if I agree with that.
you know.
I don't know if
But
I,
I
I
mean,
don't know if I agree with that premise, Cyber. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I mean, we don't need to flush it out, long-winded style or whatever. But I think that's a little bit. That's really something where you got to talk a little bit about that, like whole premise, as far as like Mephisto being a villain that could have like made an impact or surpassed Thanos as a villain. I think there's some debate there.
yeah, I'm sure there is. I'm just quoting what the article was saying. I don't know 100% if I agree with that. I'm not that in tune with Mephisto, so I just think it would be cool to see him on the big screen. Simply for
Yeah,
the fact that I'm sick of hearing about his name and we're not seeing him. So to move on, some other characters. I can't wait to see Moon Knight, which we will get the Disney Plus series next
yeah.
year. Can't wait to see that character, which is going to be really awesome. But there's some really good other characters like that we haven't seen. Like I would love to see the villain Tombstone. I think that would be an awesome character to see in the MCU. Like to see him battle and do some stuff and definitely give a different type of worldly time of the comics version of a villain. Because we're so used to them starting off with the Green Goblin and doing Sandman and Doctor Octopus and stuff that are very common characters. You don't really get to see some of these other characters like him or like the real Shocker or the real Vulture and so forth and stuff like that. I mean, we've had iterations of them, but I think it'd be great to get to see like a really solid villain like Hammerhead, which I think, or Tombstone, I should say. He was a really cool villain. I always enjoyed him in the comics, so I like to see him come up. I don't know if he'll end up eventually in the MCU or not. But I think he would be a good character to see come into the MCU. Another good character I would like to see Spider Woman. I think that'd be a cool character to bring into the MCU.
Really?
We're so used to seeing just Spider Man. I like to see Spider Woman and see what she brings to the table versus what Spider Man brings. I just think she would be a good contrast to what we've already seen. So I think those would be a couple cool characters to bring into the MCU eventually.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's interesting. That's definitely interesting. What do you think? What are your thoughts with Moon Knight in terms of you know of course, like we're here in the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We're all very confident with Marvel Studios and very optimistic, of course, about everything that comes out and think it's going to be great, and enjoy all of it. But with Moon Knight Cyber, do you think it has the kind of potential and they're going to be able to do it the right way and do the character justice with the comic books, square it with the comic books too, in terms of the violence and like the graphic type of nature that Moon Knight kind of tone that the comics kind of had, where he's like, the kind of character, where he's kind of like an anti-hero, kind of. You know what I mean? Do you think that like it's going to be potentially maybe like a really big, impactful Disney Plus series?
I definitely think it'll take the MCU in a different direction, bringing Moon Knight in. In terms of them keeping up to how his version of is in the comics, I don't foresee that unless they really go rogue on Disney Plus and give him his full dues. Because I mean, we've already seen with like Ghost Rider, we've seen with their version of Daredevil when they tried to bring it about in the early 2000s. I mean, we've seen several iterations until we got the Netflix series, which Marvel had a little bit of a hand in it, but weren't fully involved.
Yes.
And still the Daredevil series on Netflix was an amazing version. That's what Moon Knight needs to be. It's just like that Daredevil version.
Yes.
I don't know how this Disney Plus series is going to hold up to that because it's just, because it's on Disney Plus and stuff like that, they really don't go R rating on Disney at all.
Hold
So,
on. Well, hold on, Cyber. Do you think that like literally that holding back because of Disney or whatever is going to like potentially like take away from the character?
yes, I definitely think so. I don't think we're going to get full Moon Knight, unless they do like either a movie and sling it towards the way of like Deadpool, uh, or if they decide to finally just to say screw it and we'll just do what Moon Knight is. I definitely foresee the Disney Plus series being PG-13 versus a good hard R rating.
Yes, of course, 100% because it's Disney Plus and it's Disney. So yeah, I mean, you know what, Cyber? I mean, when I first found out about the whole Disney Marvel thing and whatnot, my immediate reaction was like, this is going to be painful and like hurtful a little bit, like with some aspects of the MCU. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is not going to be good. And so, I mean, as far as Mephisto goes, um, I'm still pissed that Mephisto didn't come out in WandaVision. I mean, Jesus. Like I was like, betting like, it like fake money, like, and like making all kinds of statements about how we were gonna get Mephisto and gonna get Mephisto. No Mephisto.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I will say this. I think Mephisto is a totally different villain than Thanos. But like he's more powerful than Thanos. Like now I'm not talking about Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. I'm talking about Thanos. Like Mephisto is much more powerful than Thanos. Um he's one of the like elder gods of like the entire 616 universe. Like, you know what I'm saying? The MCU universe. Like, the old gods. Like when everything first started with the Big Bang and everything and whatnot, they were he's one of the initial entities that was around back then. So but yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's a possibility we might get Tombstone too. You never know. He would be a cool villain. He would be. But back to the article. So essentially, just to really quick list out what is already out there on the slate for phase 4 and phase 5. I'm assuming the beginning of phase 5. We've got Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Secret Invasion, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, Ironheart, Armor Wars, Loki Season 2, What If Season 2, Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, The Marvels, and I'm sorry about that. Sorry, folks. Computer error. So, there we go. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Fantastic Four, Blade, Deadpool 3. That I always forget is going to be coming out. I always forget about that. The said 31 projects might potentially include Anthony Mackie's Captain America 4, the Hawkeye spin-off Echo series, and the Wakanda-centered series, which still haven't been confirmed by Marvel Studios. However, in a previous interview, executive producer Brad Winterbaum teased that the company is already developing multiple animated projects as well, which goes right to the conversation that me and Cyber had earlier tonight, prepping for this show, where we basically were having this conversation just about that topic right there. And honestly, Cyber, what direction do you think we could potentially be going with the animated aspect, or like the animated, universe of the MCU?
Well, I mean, I know it's been a while since we've had an animated film from Marvel. I mean, with What If being the newest, but definitely not the last. I mean, we're gonna get a What If season 2, so I feel some future of the animation. But who knows where they're gonna go with this? I don't know if they're gonna really focus on doing some MCU, direct to DVD, direct to Blu-ray type of films. I remember back in the early 2000s, they had the Ultimate Avenger films that they put out. Then they had several. They did Doctor Strange one, the Iron Man one. They did a whole bunch of different ones that were the Marvel characters and so forth. And like over the last decade or so, they've put out other ones too, like Wolverine versus Hulk and all that kind of stuff. So I don't, it's been I think at least 2 or 3 years now since we've had one, especially with the DCU doing so well with their animated films and just keep putting those out like crazy. I don't know if like MCU has put those on the back burner a little bit just to focus on live action stuff. But definitely with how successful What If is, I definitely foresee us having a bigger future in the animated series coming soon, and we'll be seeing more and so forth.
Most definitely, yes. And I think that with the Anthony Mackie Captain America 4 movie, I think that we're definitely looking at potentially probably, um I don't know, the beginning of phase 5, maybe. I think we'll probably get it. I wouldn't be surprised if they probably rush right out and do it. I don't think it's gonna like take them that long. They basically already know, I think, what direction they want to go in with like all the major elements of making the movie. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they've already got the writers for the movie. I think they already have a director too, I think, or like at least like they're looking at somebody. So I mean, I think that like that's the kind of production where they could really bang that out pretty quick if they wanted to, like whatever that movie ends up being. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't see
That
Captain.
could
Oh, go ahead.
that definitely could be one of the unmarked movies coming out in 2023.
Great point.
Because there
Great
there
point.
are several there are a couple films that are supposed to come out in 2023 that do not have a title or a release date, or they have a release date but they don't have a title. So that might be one of those films because I mean, right after Falcon and Winter Soldier came out, they were like, "Oh yeah, they're going to make a Captain America 4 film with Anthony Mackie as Captain." So I mean, I definitely feel that's probably going to take one of those places, most definitely.
Do you think it's a possibility that this Captain America 4 movie with Anthony Mackie could actually be like a Civil War type Captain America movie where they could pack it with like new characters and stuff like that, and like or like or even existing characters and just load it up with stuff like that?
I mean, most definitely, I think they could do that. I mean, this is I mean, look at how successful Civil War was with packing all those characters and basically making it like an Avenger 1.5. So I mean, the fact that they're making the Captain America 4, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw several different characters in it, or even introductions to new characters that haven't gotten a full length film for themselves yet. So maybe even some of the Disney Plus series characters might end up in it. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see just what they end up doing with it because I definitely think that we could see like a Civil War type of deal again with Captain America 4.
Yes, and again, it's important to point out that Captain America: The Winter Soldier had the opposite vibe going, as far as the fact that it had a very tight, compact cast, basically, of characters, and it still was, what's considered, for most people out there when they rank the MCU, it's in the top 3, if not number 1, for like a lot of people, for a lot of critics, fans in general. So they can go both ways if they want to. And Anthony Mackie,
Mm-hmm.
he can pull it off, I think, is and make it work either way. But I don't think it would hurt to give him supporting pieces, and we already know Bucky's going to be in it. Of course, like I mean, Falcon and the Winter Soldier did too well for them to not pair them back up again. It would
Most
make no
definitely.
sense. Yeah, so I mean, people love it. And so at that point, I wouldn't be surprised if Sharon Carter is a part of it in some way. Um, where the hell that's going with the power broker deal, I have no clue what that's all about. Or if she's even, or if she's a Skrull, or like, who the hell knows? But
Mm-hmm.
basically, I feel like, again, I forget that Deadpool 3 is coming out all the time. I always do. When I talk about the end of phase 4, like beginning of phase 5, that
Mm-hmm.
one of those dates that you mentioned is probably Deadpool 3 too. Is one of
Probably,
the
yeah.
probably Deadpool 3. Um,
Yep.
so basically, as for me, going back to the question I asked Cyber pertaining to who we want to see in phase 5 and 6, that's going to be a part of these 31 developed projects. I definitely am looking forward to seeing Nova, from the Nova Corps, from Xandar, Richard Rider. I'm looking forward to seeing Nova. um I think that honestly, if they would have gone ahead and went with it in Endgame in the final battle, if they would have dropped Nova into that shit, I think it would have been cool. I really do. Um, I don't care if you give him a backstory or not. It makes no difference to me. Like, I still think it would have been really cool. But I think he's cool. I mean, he brings that whole cosmic aspect to the table, which is cool, in the Captain Marvel kind of universe of movies and characters. And definitely, I'd love to see them bring Jessica Jones over from Netflix and do something with her. Uh, Kristen Ritter, definitely, I think in phase 5 or phase 6 or something like that. I wouldn't mind them doing something like that. I'd love to see her in She-Hulk. I think that'd be a perfect spot for her. You know what I mean? As far as who she is, what she does. Um, and I'd say probably the who I'm most looking forward to completely is Ghost Rider. Now, if we get Ghost Rider and Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness, then we're going to get them in phase 4. Um, I've heard a lot of rumors and stuff, and that Ghost Rider is going to be in Doctor Strange 2. I don't believe it. Until it happens, Cyber, the rule when it boils down to it with Marvel Studios. There's no point
Mm-hmm.
in friggin' believing at all that, like, Ghost Rider is going to be in Doctor Strange 2. Um,
Mm-hmm.
who knows? Maybe Kevin Feige's already decided that he doesn't even want to drop Ghost Rider until, you know, 2023 or something. You know what I mean? Like, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably, definitely, I don't know who it's going to be, but I cannot wait until they finally just friggin' goddamn give us a mutant. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, man. Like, enough time has passed. Like, they need to go ahead and get to it and start dropping some mutants on us, because, you know, hey, I know that, like, that, the Dark Phoenix movie came out just 2 years ago or whatever, a year and a half ago, and that Kevin Feige wants to put some space and some distance in between what they do with the X-Men and, the Fox stuff. But you tell me, Cyber, um, you know, where do you think we're at with mutants? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Are we going to get a mutant here pretty soon, or is it going to be a minute?
Well, I mean, honestly, we've already had mutants in the MCU. They just haven't been called mutants, or they haven't been, they haven't been put into the label of mutant. I mean, with Venom, like, be Carnage. One of the characters in the film is a mutant. So, I mean, with the Marvel collaboration with that's kind of a mutant's been put into the MCU. So, I mean, it's a slow process, and like you were saying, Kevin Feige says he's been trying to put distance between Dark Phoenix and mutants. With New Mutants coming out and stuff like that last year. Basically, I feel like we're gonna see them slowly introduced into films and not be labeled mutants. Like, we're gonna know they're mutants, but they're not gonna be like right out going, "Oh, that's a mutant." I feel that it's gonna be a slow process because, like Kevin Feige was saying, he kind of wants to slowly transition them in because he doesn't want any connection to the Fox properties, because he thinks that the Fox properties, I think, from my understanding, I remember him saying that he didn't quite think they were the greatest. So I think it's going to be, kind of like, people are going to have to be kind of pushing it on Feige, saying, oh, we should really put mutants in. We should really put mutants in. So I don't think we're going to see an X-Men film for at least until 2024, 2025. Uh, at least till then. But mutants, I think, will be slowly introduced throughout MCU films. And like I said, I don't think it'll be like a prominent thing, but they definitely will be in there. Because if we know their name and we know that they're a mutant in the comics, then we're going to know that there's a mutant in the MCU. So I think it's going to be a slow process.
Yeah. Shriek or whatever her name is,
Mm-hmm.
Carnage's girlfriend is a mutant. Um, which I was actually wondering about that the other day. I couldn't remember if she was a mutant or not. But so basically, since Cyber already went ahead and kind of gave me like a tie-in, we're gonna go ahead and change gears and go ahead and get into our second topic tonight, which is basically, well, you know what? Why don't we go ahead and get into Jon Bernthal Punisher and the fact that, as Cyber and I were just talking about a minute ago, basically there's been some reports and there's been some rumors that we might be getting Jon Bernthal back as Punisher in the MCU. And from GiantFreakinRobot.com, Jon Bernthal returning as Punisher, our scoop confirmed. Marvel has the rights back to their characters from Netflix. Ever since, fans have wondered if they may see Jon Bernthal in the role again. A few months ago, we told you that our trusted insider shared Marvel's plans to reboot Punisher and keep the same actor. Our scoop has now been confirmed. The hashtag show has shared that they, too, have heard that Marvel plans to reboot the series, and in the same way we previously shared. If you've been wanting to see Bernthal as Punisher again, it's safe to get excited. Here's what we know so far about their plans. What we have confirmed for Disney's plan is that they will be creating a new series for Jon Bernthal to play the Punisher. This new series won't reference any content from the Netflix series. He'll be the same character that we know, the anti-hero he's always played. However, it will be a separate universe from what we saw on Netflix. Let's see. So I'm not going to go through the entire article because there's quite a bit here. It gets into the whole Netflix series, the start, and like what ended up happening with them. Let's see, and it gets into the entire fact that you got the Disney factor with the rating and like the kind of content it is. So that's basically it. I mean, all it is just confirming the rumor that we're going to get Jon Bernthal back as Punisher. Cyber.
And the start of that actually, he's gonna be in Moon Knight.
Really?
Yes, that was confirmed too.
Really?
That same article you just read. There's another article by the same people that said that he's gonna be in Moon Knight.
No way.
Yeah.
Right here from Giant Freaking Robot?
Yeah.
Damn. Let me see.
Yeah, I had the article. It says Jon Bernthal is back as Punisher in upcoming Marvel series.
Well, hold on, folks. Stop the train. We got to go ahead and find this article really quick.
Came out 2 months ago.
Let's see. The magic of the internet. Jon Bernthal back as Punisher in
upcoming Marvel series.
Let's see. Let's see what we got here. See if we can find this article. If not, we'll just jump into what we have to work with. Jon Bernthal returning in rebooted Punisher series. Our scoop confirmed.
No. The title of the article is Jon Bernthal is back as Punisher in upcoming Marvel series.
I got it. There we go.
And it's got a picture of him as the Punisher.
Jon Bernthal is back as the Punisher in upcoming Marvel series. With the Marvel Cinematic Universe continuing to expand, there are new characters coming to the franchise, but also previous versions for other iterations finding their way into this larger universe for the first time. One of those is going to be Jon Bernthal, who played in The Punisher for years in the Netflix group of Marvel properties. He's going to join the MCU soon, and we are getting a sense of how he'll start to fit in, so to speak. Geekosity has it that Bernthal is going to show up in the second season of Moon Knight to fight Mark Spector when that show finally hits Disney Plus. Okay, well, that's interesting. That's quite a bit, Cyber. Geez, you know what? That's a lot of information, and I wish that would have came up during our conversation earlier this evening. But that's okay.
Well,
So
I didn't find that article until you were finding that one you were just had.
Okay. Well, good job, man. I mean, hey, you know what? Like, this is very interesting. And now they're saying Moon Knight season 2, which is
Yeah, that
essentially
was weird.
confirming that there's going to be a second season of Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Which is that's even more interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Because I mean, you got to make that connection, but I don't see. I mean, I don't really see why Punisher and Moon Knight would fight. It just, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I don't see why that would really go down because Mark Spector or Moon Knight is like a Punisher kind of character. You know what I mean? Like he kills people and stuff. So like, I mean, like I wouldn't see him having a problem with the Punisher doing what he does. Like all the other, more like legit type superheroes like Spider-Man and Daredevil and everything and whatnot, they don't like it. The killing and everything and whatnot. That's one of the biggest conflicts that Punisher always has with other characters, is that he wants to kill people. But so Cyber, what are your thoughts on this whole situation with the Punisher and Jon Bernthal coming back? And thank you very much for telling me about this whole situation and whatnot tonight, because I didn't even know about it. And go ahead and explain whatever you heard in the other article about how the Disney Plus series is already confirmed.
I mean, and basically the article, says that it's confirmed that Punisher is coming to fight Mark Spector. That's pretty much what the article said. They basically confirmed it. They had other sources they said that have confirmed it too as well, within the Marvel Universe people. They haven't had Jon Bernthal himself say it yet. That he's confirmed for this and stuff like that. But I mean, he was seen on set of the Moon Knight series that they've been filming over the last several months. So I mean, that's that right there. I mean, you see pictures of him on set, you're like, okay, well, he's definitely involved in some capacity. Um, but yeah, I mean, pretty much that's what the article, stated that was supposed to be happening with Moon Knight. That we're finally getting Punisher and the Jon Bernthal Punisher being brought into the MCU, by starting off with the Disney Plus series before he gets his own. And then that article you were talking about is about him potentially coming in and doing his own, series himself too as well. That I'm not sure when that will happen. I'm sure that might be one of the 31 projects that we were talking about previously. But I mean, I like the idea. I thought Jon Bernthal is awesome. I like him as an actor. I think he's always good in anything I've seen him in. So I'm really looking forward to him being introduced as the Punisher. I'm glad they're sticking with somebody to play that plays one particular character in the MCU, so that we don't have to recast it again. Because I think Bernthal plays the Punisher perfectly. I'm a big fan of the Thomas Jane film, and I think Thomas Jane could have played him again. But I think Bernthal does it just as good and is really really keen to bring us the best possible Punisher that we can get. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, I am too. I think that Jon Bernthal as Punisher is great casting. Um, it was great casting, and I couldn't imagine anybody else playing the character at this point. It wouldn't make any sense for them to do Punisher without Jon Bernthal. I think that it still needs to be figured out how they're going to work out actually giving him his own series or like doing movies with him or whatever, if they don't bring in somebody else like Hulu or something like that or whatever, where they can be able to do him the proper justice with the blood and the killing and the guns and the violence and all that stuff. I mean, that's Punisher, and you can't do that on Disney Plus. So as you already mentioned earlier, and I've already talked about. But basically, there's not that much to talk about really with that. So why don't we go ahead and move on to the fact that we've got Netflix's Daredevil potentially coming back from the direct. Netflix's Daredevil cast rumored for return in upcoming MCU Disney Plus show. So basically, Daredevil was arguably the most popular and successful show on the Netflix roster when their Marvel shows were airing. When it was canceled, many people were understandably disappointed. Many people thought that would be the last time they saw Charlie Cox in the role, with Marvel Studios taking over the television side of things and all. Thankfully, if recent rumors are to be believed, things might be looking up for Cox fans. And let's see if I can continue on and read the rest of the article. Hold on, or at least a little bit more of it. Via his Patreon account, reliable scooper Daniel Richman revealed that Marvel Studios is planning to give Daredevil his own project again down the line with Charlie Cox in the leading role. However, in the meantime, Rickman goes on to say that the upcoming Echo show will feature the return of most of the main cast from Daredevil, who will all play big parts, which is really interesting news. It's important to note this is not officially from Disney or Marvel Studios. This information is still just a rumor for the time being. The Spider-Man No Way Home news was exciting in of itself, but to learn that the blind vigilante has an even bigger future in the MCU is incredible. A sentiment many fans across the world are likely to share. Many will likely worry that all of this may take away from Aquala Cox's first solo outing following her MCU debut in Hawkeye, and the worry is valid. However, given the fact that her name is the show's title, and its creation was a huge step forward by Marvel Studios as it was, it's probably safe to assume that Marvel knows at the end of the day, Echo is the one in the spotlight. So that's basically the gist of it. And that is really good news, Cyber. I mean, what are your thoughts? What do you think? I mean, Cyber and I, actually, there's a lot of fans out there, did not catch Daredevil or really get into Daredevil in like the last couple months. And we're both in season 2, I think. Right, Cyber?
Yep. Still first episode.
Yep.
Haven't
I'm in
had a
halfway
chance to
through
watch
season
it.
2. Yep. So, what do you think, Cyber? What are your thoughts? I mean, uh, how pleased are you that we're going that we obviously we don't know, this rumor is not confirmed, but still, saying this is true. What are your thoughts on the fact that we're going to get the cast back?
I mean, if this is true, yeah, that's a great thing. It'll be nice to see them return to a great series that they started, many years ago. That was really well done and a really executed great show. If they do get to return and they get to do these characters again, it'll be fun to see them again, see what they can improve on them, what they can advance with them and evolve as characters. And which is with time going by, that gives it great time to like great writers can make it evolve very well. So I mean, yeah, I think it's a great thing if it is true. Like you were saying before, we don't know until we have concrete proof. So yeah, if it does come true, that's great. If it doesn't, oh well. But yeah, definitely, I'll be very happy if they bring it back to see more.
Yes, and I will be too. And I'll be happy. I'll be very happy when this is confirmed, because I'm not going to believe it really until like it legitimately, is we're not, when we're told as the fans that like we're actually going to get this. But I really think, and Cyber and I have had this conversation personally multiple times, I think, over the course of probably a year and a half. The fact that even before we had not watched the show, we obviously had heard a lot about it, both of us. And, um, we were talking about this whole possibility of Daredevil coming back as a Disney Plus series. And I really don't think that there's any way to really do him at this point, after what happened with Netflix, to not have him in a actual television series again. But I don't know, Cyber. What do you think? What's your line? What on a 1 through 10 rating or scale? Um, what do you think the likelihood is that we're going to get a Daredevil solo film in the MCU?
I would say an 8 out of 10.
Wow.
Uh, Simply for the fact that because it's brought up so much attention within the last several months, especially with No Way Home, and just with She-Hulk series, and also because the big rumors were saying that he was going to pop up in that. I think that it's a good chance we're going to be getting something of Charlie Cox as Daredevil in some form of way. If it's not in a series, in his own series, it's definitely in somebody else's series. So I definitely think we'll see Charlie Cox as Daredevil again. I just don't know what capacity.
So you're that high on the fact that we'll get a Daredevil solo movie.
I didn't say that. I just said we'll get Charlie Cox in some sort of form.
Oh, okay. I got you. All right. Yes. Yeah. I think that's a fair rating. You don't have to. You can rate it if you want, but what do you think the possibility is that Daredevil's the kind of character that could carry a solo film in the MCU?
6.
Okay. Sorry about that, folks. Um, okay, a 6. Do you want to kind of maybe just explain, just like lightly, why you think that?
Because just like with anything, if things get enough steam going, enough rumors, enough people wanting something, that company will make that happen. And so that's why I give it a 6.
Well, I think that Cyber and I would definitely both agree that there's no way that Marvel Studios makes a Charlie Cox Daredevil film and it's not better than the freaking Ben Affleck Daredevil film. Come on now, like seriously. Talk about a terrible film. But okay, moving down the list, rocking and rolling. Cyberneticshark, TrueKnowledge, getting after it. So basically, moving on. And just to be clear, we're going into the spoilers territory. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the warning out now, just because we're a little bit ways out after Venom 2 was released and everything and whatnot. Cyber has seen it, and was from Cyber and from this article, there are spoilers from the film. So I'm going to put it out there right now. If you have not seen Venom 2, and you care about the intactness of the film in terms of not knowing what the hell's going on, then you do not want to go ahead and watch this next segment. You should go ahead and fast forward, or basically just take a break and catch the rest like a couple days later after you watch Venom. But after saying that, Cyber, why don't you go ahead and just explain the premise about kind of the direction of a part of the topics that we're going to be dealing with here with this Screen Rant article that says everything we know about Sony's plans for Spider-Man. If you want to go ahead and just give us a rundown of kind of your version of the events of this end credit scene, I guess it was.
So the end credit scene, spoilers ahead here, people, basically takes Venom and Eddie Brock and puts them into the MCU is basically what this end credit scene does. We literally see them transfer from their universe into our verse, and then also confirming that Venom was not in our verse in the MCU already, but that he transferred to the MCU, and that all of a sudden Spider-Man pops up on the screen being said who he really is by J. Jonah Jameson. So pretty much this end credit scene confirmed two things. One, Venom wasn't originally in the MCU, and two, he officially is now in the MCU, and that kind of binds that Marvel and Sony finally came to an agreement of some sort.
I guess so. That is definitely interesting. I have not seen Venom yet myself. I'm planning on going to see it soon, probably maybe tomorrow or the day after. Just so you know, Cyber and I are doing this show here late at night in our time zone. And this is, of course, Sunday. I don't know what the date is. But
The third.
The third. Today's the third. It's the third already? Wow,
Yep.
Cyber. Well, today's the third. Spider-Man and Venom crossover plans confirmed by Sony boss. Are the pair set to meet on screen in the near future? Well, obviously, since Cyber just explained what happened in this post-credit scene, it looks like that's what's going to happen. Spider-Man and Venom may both be Marvel Comics characters, but their coexistence on screen is a little more complicated. Due to varying studio rights, Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe and Sony's own Marvel property movies have been so far been kept separate, meaning that Sony movies featuring Marvel characters such as Venom and Deadpool are not part of the MCU. But with the character of Venom having a long-time association with the character of Spider-Man, and with the MCU currently producing Spider-Man movies, does this mean that the pair won't be able to meet in the foreseeable future? According to Sony boss Sanford Panich, things aren't quite that clear-cut. We don't really think our 900 characters as the Spideyverse, he told Variety. We have a Marvel Universe. The volume of characters we have, wait until you see this next Venom. You don't miss Spider-Man. Before adding, it'll be exciting if they do meet, right? In an exciting development, he added that there is a plan in place, although he didn't give any further details about what exactly that could mean. And apparently, Tom Holland's third Spider movie, No Way Home, will make things clearer when it is released in December. There actually is a plan, he said. I think now maybe it's getting a little more clear for people where we're headed, and I think when No Way Home comes out, even more will be revealed. This may be a little cryptic, but it certainly gives us renewed hope for a team-up or standoff between Venom and Spider-Man in the future. There have been plenty of rumors swirling that No Way Home will introduce a live-action multiverse, which makes this possibility even more likely. Although it sounds like we'll have to wait until the movie is released in December to find out more. With MCU star Aaron Taylor Johnson also now taking on another Marvel character in the form of villain Kraven the Hunter, in a movie which will take place in Sony's Marvel Universe, the connections are starting to get even more complex. So, going back to you, Cyber, where are you at, and what are your thoughts with this entire situation, with what happened with the post-credit scene and this article and everything and whatnot? What's your take on this whole thing?
I mean, I'm glad they're finally starting to come to some sort of agreement in these properties because, Marvel has been wanting the properties to Spider-Man, Venom, and all those characters for many years. Haven't been able to get it because Sony, realizes there's money behind these characters. But I'm just glad that they're finally starting to come together to piece these two universes together so that we can have certain characters in the MCU. The post-credit scene, it blew my mind. I can't believe they actually were that bold with this post-credit scene, especially in Venom 2. I definitely thought that would have been a post-credit scene for an actual Marvel film. But it being in this film really puts it, saying, yes, we're finally a part of the MCU. Marvel and Sony have come to an agreement. So that just, when I saw it, it was like, oh my God, Sony and Marvel have come to an agreement, which I thought they had done a few months ago. And this just confirmed it. So I just was blown away by the whole situation. I'm very happy that they're getting along and using these properties and that they're trying to make a smooth connection for all fans.
Yes, most definitely. And I am actually really happy to hear this before I've even seen Venom 2, because I think this is really important news. And it was something where we felt like we needed to talk about this and go ahead and get it out there. So those of you out there that are pissed off at me and Cyber for going ahead and spoiling this and dropping this information and whatnot right now, I mean, look, you got to understand. This is major, serious, major, freaking massive MCU news and Sony news. And to be completely honest with you, I like to think that I pay attention with what's going on in the MCU, but I had no freaking idea that Sony actually has 900 characters potentially in that entire possible Venomverse, what a Sonyverse deal that they've got. Wow, that's freaking intense. Geez. But you know what? It makes sense because Spider-Man has been out. They've been making Spider-Man comic books for a long, long time. So basically, Cyber, what I wanted to do was to basically kind of wrap things up by getting into a topic that I actually got into today on the podcast of Champions. Um, which of course comes out of sakar.freeforums.net. Y'all can feel free to join if you want and be a champion on the podcast of Champions. They are a big friend to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Cyber, what do you think, and what are your thoughts on the fact that, um, you know, there's really, to me, a clear component where there are people in the film industry specifically that don't like Marvel Studios and Marvel Studios' success and the fouling, the cultural impact of the MCU, the domination of the industry by Marvel Studios and superhero films and everything. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of celebrity type, film industry people that have really poo-pooed the MCU and the fandom as if we're stupid or whatever. You know what I mean? And like these aren't real films. Like they're not. They're whatever. And I basically feel like, for me, you know, when you think about it, the fandom, especially the younger fandom, and especially newer MCU fans right now, um, we haven't gotten anything like Endgame or Infinity War yet since those movies came out, since Captain America Civil War came out. We haven't gotten any kind of event or film or anything like that since that stuff that brought that energy to where you have the Cap fans and the Iron Man fans and all that kind of stuff and that whole dichotomy and everything like that and that rivalry. And right now on TikTok, I'm sure you already know Cyber because Cyber and I are both on TikTok. That they're young, whatever age MCU fans are on there to this day, every day, still talking about Cap and Iron Man and making Iron Man edits and Cap edits and stuff like that and everything. These characters are intensely popular. And, Spider-Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, massive, massive, successful, popular characters. And Stan Lee, who started it all, his entire premise and his entire ethos, and you know what his ethos is, Cyber. Just like in the Marvel Studios Celebration video. Um, you know, that man next to you is your brother. That woman over there is your sister. Um, the premise that Stan Lee put out there for Marvel Studios and for Marvel Comics, excuse me, that started it all was a really positive moral stance. And this whole dynamic that we see played out with good and evil and good beating evil and unity and community and respect of other people and everything and whatnot, that's such a big part of what Stan Lee's message was. It resonates like very, very deeply to fans and even young fans, kids that are MCU fans. They respect Stan Lee. You know what I mean? Like, they love Stan Lee, not just because of the cameos. And I think that honestly, Cyber, and you tell me what you think. I think that a lot of these people that slam the MCU and like talk shit about the MCU films and their quality and everything and whatnot, I think they just don't like the message, that positive message, that moral message. You know what I mean? Um, you know what I'm talking about.
The moral message.
Yes, that ethos, that premise, that Stan Lee premise, you know what I mean, of like community, respecting people, equality, caring about other people, you know what I mean, holding each other up,
Yeah.
supporting other people, teamwork, you know what I
Yeah,
mean,
Stanley. Yeah, Stanley was all about that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the comic books, they hands down, and every single comic, if you notice how it's laid out, how it's written out, how it's drawn, everything that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby put into those was that whole thought process. And that, in turn, because of that, amazingness from those comics is what Marvel has tried to do throughout their Marvel career and bringing that to life into these films. And I mean, that's probably one of the big reasons why they brought Stan into the films with all those cameos, because they wanted to show the heart of the MCU, which was Stan Lee. And so that, I think, also plays into the whole concept about the whole heart of, in Endgame when they have Tony's funeral, he was the heart of the MCU. So I think that was kind of a send off to Stan Lee as well in that aspect. So I mean, yeah, definitely I see that whole economy, that whole dynamic being a huge impact on the MCU, and that's why Endgame and Infinity War were such big impacts, because that was a culmination of 10 years of what they built up. So now with the new phases, they have to rebuild that all again. So that's why we haven't had another big end game yet, because we're going to have to wait another 10 years before we get that again.
Yes, most definitely, and I would definitely agree with that 100% too, Cyber. Good, that's a very good point. Okay, well, basically, folks, this is going to wrap things up for us. We wanted to try to keep this pretty concise, and we're right under an hour. So, if you stuck with this whole video on YouTube, we really appreciate it. We'd love it. We'd rather see less of you watch the whole thing than more of you just catch the video. So, really quickly, I'm going to go ahead and throw over to Cyber and let him go ahead and plug all of his content. And then I'll do the same thing for myself, basically. And we'll go ahead and say hello or say goodbye. Thanks a lot, Kevin.
Hello,
Appreciate
people
that.
out there. If you haven't already been watching the last half hour, hello to you. Anyways, yes. So yes, thank you, Jeff. So yeah, of course, you know me, Cyberneticshark. I'm a part of the amazing podcast here of the MCU's Bleeding Edge. But if you want to check out my solo content, if you really enjoy our content and want to check out my solo content, you can definitely check me out on YouTube under Cyberneticshark. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all those places. You can also find me on Rizzle, TikTok, Clapper as well, under Cyberneticshark as well. I do videos on there and all kinds of stuff. Like, Jeff mentioned, I'm a longtime Rizzler as well. I've been on TikTok, I don't know, for a couple years now, too, as well. Clapper, I've only been on it for about a year, and it's a fun app, too, as well. You can find both of us on there, me and Jeff. Jeff is a longtime Rizzler, too, as well. And of course, you can go to our amazing website, the MCU's bleedingedge.org, where you can see our breakdowns and all that kind of cool stuff. So definitely check that out too as well if you don't get a chance to. And like Jeff says, we appreciate everything you guys do. If you watch the show, if you comment, all that kind of cool stuff. So just want to thank you for that. And like I said, definitely check out my solo stuff if you're interested in this. I've been recently doing James Bond reviews, so especially if you're a big Bond fan and looking forward to No Time to Die, definitely should check those out.
That's right. And go watch the new Bond film that's in theaters, I believe, right now.
Next week.
Yeah. Okay. Next week. Okay.
Next
So,
Friday.
yes, as Cyber already mentioned, Cyber and I are both on Rizzle. And if you haven't heard about Rizzle before, Rizzle is like a TikTok similar type platform that we actually kind of think is better than TikTok, to be honest with you, I think, and that we really enjoy. So you should definitely check us out on there. You can find me on there. My main channels are The Conservative Voice and TCV on MCU. And essentially, I'm a co-host of the MCU's Bleeding Edge with Cyberneticshark, Cyber for short, as his friends call him. And basically, I mainly handle and facilitate are the MCU's Bleeding Edge social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on everything, basically, and this video will end up finding its way to multiple platforms. So we thank everybody out there on any of the other platforms other than YouTube that end up catching this video. But we most definitely appreciate all of you that, on top of watching us, will take the time to please subscribe to specifically the MCU's Bleeding Edge YouTube channel, because we are really trying to go ahead and cross over the 100 subscriber mark. on our way to 500, then 1,000, and then who knows, 1,000,000 maybe. We'll have to see. But you know, until we get there, we got to hit 100. So if you're here already, don't you know, don't be shy. Just go ahead and click that mouse, or you know, put your finger on your cell phone real quick and hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it, and we like a like here and there too. So, anyways, for Cyberneticshark and for Jeff S, TrueKnowledge, MCU's Bleeding Edge, and we'll see you next time, folks.